The Sacred Mass, Chapter 13, The Right Mood. Winter came and with it left all of the travelers. Winter while it was sailing season, and the seas were coming up to traverse the ocean in search of new wares. And with the outsiders gone, the citizens of Wallen felt more at ease. Should they return to playing on the streets without supervision, everything was as it should be. Gregory and Caron settled as well into their happy routine. Gregory returned to painting portraits and teaching, and Caron became a regular in the guild, taking easy to complete tasks that would never keep him away from home for too long. Other times he would assist Allan, and Allan went to all of the parties to spy on the rich socialites and politicians, and he would dismiss Caron as soon as Gregory got off from work. And over time, Allan had grown fond of Caron's taciturn personality. And Caron did not offer exciting conversation, but he kept Allan relatively amused. And when asked duty, the two would see Marina perform for her sea friends, and whenever Marina sang, silky skies of seals would rise from the ocean to hear her sing. And this December was unusually warm, and the cold winter sun had warmed the waters enough for the bathers to enter. And during her performance, the three saw Helmer with a blonde man and the little kid. The blonde man was carrying Helmer as the two entered the ocean, and Helmer did not know how to swim, and he did not seem very eager to try to learn. Marina, smiling, said, "Oh, that's cute. Father must really trust that man." "I guess you have a stepfather, Allan," said Caron, laughing. "Ha ha ha ha, very frowny," said Allan, frowning, and he said, "So close, yet so far apart." The little kid sat near Marina to watch Helmer and the blonde man playing in the ocean, and Marina sat by the boys and by the child. And Allan and Caron drew near and asked to eavesdrop. Marina, smiling, said, "Having fun?" "Yes, the beach is a blast," said the boy, smiling. "Are those your parents?" asked Marina, pointing to Helmer and the blonde man. "Nah, they're not my parents. I am their bodyguard, and without me those two would be in a lot of trouble," said the boy. Caron and Allan had to cover their mouths to suppress their laughter, and Marina, smiling, said, "You must be really strong then." "Nah," said the boy. I'm just the only one with common sense. One is a sheltered brat and the other a hermit, and the two do not know of the dangers of the real world, and the moment I turn my back, they get into all sorts of trouble. Damn it." And sure enough, Helmer started panicking when a fish swam too close. And he tried to get away, but the water was far too deep for him, and the blonde man had to leave the ocean while carrying a screeching, hysterical Helmer. The blonde man sat in the sand while carrying Helmer, and he started to rock the Arch Magus gently. And the boy took Helmer's hand and he began to sing, and the kid had quite a lovely singing voice, and between the two of them they were able to calm Helmer's frayed nerves. Helmer noticed Allan and Marina and Caron watching him, and he incorporated himself and he removed the tears from his face. And just as Inanna had predicted, Helmer walked towards Allan and Marina, and Caron wrapped his arms around Allan to keep him seated. Caron whispered, "Remember what Inanna said, your dad is a scary cat, so no sudden moves." Allan sat down with his hands and legs crossed, and he had an over-exaggerated grin on his face. And the smile was not of happiness but of nervousness, and Helmer maintained a few meters of distance, and he opened his mouth to speak a few times, but no words came out. And the kid came, and he explained things for his friend. "I got a job in a clinic, and if you need medicine, I can synthesize it. And my friend Shin also works there and now as a surgeon, and my friend Lot is going to be joining the staff soon." Allan bit his lip, and he said nothing, and Marina spoke to the child. "Where will you be leaving?" "In the guild," said the elf child. "The name is Hope, by the way, and the blonde guy is Shin." Shin drew close enough to greet the others, and he had long blonde hair in waves, and the eyes were the color of citrine, and his skin was olive color, and the face was androgynous with a mouth of a strong natural red, and the ears had a normal curve, so he could not be of elven descent. And the body, as seen through the white rose, was muscular, but there was a certain femininity about it. Hope was Shin's adopted son, and she had rescued the boy 5 years ago along with Helmer. And Hope was 13 years old, and he was short for his age, so he seemed younger. Hope had a slender athletic frame with large expressive eyes and a long mane of silky black hair, and the kid was barefoot and he was sporting black shorts. And the early morning sun had already baked his skin a healthy glow. Under the sunlight, Caron was able to get a proper look at Helmer. Helmer's face was youthful, almost like a child, and within that face was a striking resemblance to Allan, with the exception of the long black hair and the baby pink colored eyes. Helmer too had a healthy son, for he had been spending most of his time outdoors. "My name is Shin," said Shin, smiling, and he offered his hand to Allan, and then to Caron, and then to Marina. Shin then looked to Helmer and he said, You haven't made proper introductions with Caron yet, Helmer. Remember your manners." Helmer hid behind Shin, and Shin smiling said to Helmer, "He doesn't hate you, do you, sweet Caron?" "I don't hate you, Helmer," said Caron, and he stretched his hand, but he did not get up. He was planning to give Allan what he wanted. "I am Caron, pleased to meet you, Master Helmer." Helmer hesitated, and he drew closer and closer while Allan was keeping his arms folded with his face a stone mask of over-exaggerated joy. And Helmer shook Caron's hand without much enthusiasm, and then he regarded Allan with a dull expression on his face. Helmer took Allan's cheeks and he pulled at them, and frowning Helmer said, "Your face looks stupid. There, that's better." And Allan's face relaxed and it acquired a natural smile. And he took one of his father's hands into his own and he kissed it, and Helmer started to depart, but Allan would not let go of the fragile hand. Rather, he squeezed it tighter. Caron whispered to Allan, "Be gentle, treat him as if he was made of glass." Allan thrusted his grip, and instead of departing, Helmer allowed Allan to hold his hand for an indefinite amount of time. And after 10 minutes, Helmer sat down on the sand to wait for his son Allan to get bored of holding his hand. Marina eventually intervened. She separated the two, and then she said, smiling, "See you later, father." Helmer, smiling, got up and he hugged Marina. "My little saint, take care of your brother Allan." "I will, Dad," said Marina, kissing Helmer in the forehead. Allan started to cry, and Helmer sighed with frustration, and then he went to hug Allan as well. And then he turned to Caron and he said casually, "Do you need a hug as well?" "I'm fine. I had Gregory for that," said Caron casually. "I'm going to be busy for a while," said Helmer, moving away from Allan. And he turned his back to continue talking. "I still have my apprenticeship to finish." "Apprentice? You?" asked Allan, laughing. "Yes. The gaps in my knowledge were as limitless as the horizon," said Helmer, turning to face the ocean. "Shin is my master, and when I finish learning, I will have more time for you, Allan." Marina. "You still have to eat," retorted Shin, smiling, "and we can have lunch together every day. How does that sound to you, Allan?" "Perfect, Master Shin," said Allan, smiling happily. "Want to eat with us today?" "I am busy today," said Helmer, departing, and he stopped and he turned to look at Allan. And once again, Allan had that weepy expression. And sighing, Helmer said, "I will eat with you tomorrow, but only if you behave and don't cause problems for your friends." "I promise I will be good, Dad," said Allan, taking his vow a little too seriously. "I will become the type of son you can be proud of." "I am already proud of you, Allan," said Helmer, departing. Shin and Ho followed after Helmer, and as soon as they were out of earshot, Helmer started arguing with Shin about the promise he had made on his behalf. Marina shook her head sadly, and she said, "I don't think Dad wanted to agree to that yet." "Allan is not listening to you, Marina," said Caron, laughing. "I like my new stepdad already," said Allan happily. "And they just got married, so it makes sense that Dad will be super busy. And Master Shin is really beautiful too. I can see where I got my taste in men. We both like them blonde. And yes, my father is still young. And he deserves all of the happiness that the world has to offer. Yes, the first 2 decades of my life sucked, but now everything's going to be smooth sailing. Everything's going to be perfect. Caron blushed, feeling alluded to, and Allan could see a beautiful picture of his future life with his father. Only this time he had to make room for Shin. Allan's stomach growling snapped him out of his happy daydream, and the trio went to have lunch, and they just so happened to coincide with the same restaurant as Helmer, Hope, and Shin. Helmer was busy reading a tome, and from time to time he would open his mouth, and Shin would feed him. Allan paid the usher to clear out the table in front of Helmer, and from time to time, and from there, Allan could watch his father eat. And Helmer seemed to be doing better, and he no longer looked like a walking skeleton. Marina was the first to ask Caron, "How is Greg doing?" He's fine, cheerful as ever," said Caron, "and he cooks everything we eat at home, and my brother's starting to get rather portly, which is good cause he no longer complains about Greg." "You know what they say, the stomach is the best route to a man's heart," said Marina, laughing. "I would be careful if I were you. You don't want Bron to steal Greg as well," retorted Allan, laughing. "He did not steal Alyssa from me. It was a mutual parting of the way," said Caron flatly. "I admire your overblood, Caron. All that abuse and not a single scratch on you. And look at me, my back is practically sandpaper at this point," said Allan sadly. Caron gave a nervous laugh, and then he said, "Yes, it certainly does come in handy." "How much punishment have you taken?" asked Allan, smiling. "Well, I have been stabbed a couple of times, and one time I was almost choked to death by my..." said Caron, trembling as his voice started becoming lower and lower. "Oh my God, Greg stabbed you!" asked Allan, standing up in shock. "Settle down, Allan," said Helmer, not looking up from his book, and Allan sat back down meekly. "No, wait, what were we talking about exactly?" asked Caron, confused. "He wants to know how many times have you taken it where the light don't shine," translated Marina. And she added, "My brother has manure for brain, and when he's not getting some, he's reading about some, or asking others about their mating habits, or picturing the mating habits of other folks. It really is a nasty pastime." "Not everyone can be as sanctimonious as you, my dear sister Marina," retorted Allan, petting the head of his little sister. Little sister. "Well, if you two are going to talk about that, I'm going to continue with my music practice," said Marina. "And goodbye," said Caron. Do be careful that my brother doesn't corrupt you." Marina left to play music by the seaside, and since her father had returned, she no longer hid her scales. And Marina's singing gave credence to her claims of being a mermaid, and she had a winter hobby of luring sailors with her song, and only foreign sailors fell for Marina's song, and the locals were already used to her pranks. And Marina liked to get the ship stuck in the shallow banks. It was a relatively harmless prank, which lasted till nightfall when the tide would rise. As soon as Marina left, Allan resumed the conversation in a direct fashion, and he asked, "And how sore are you?" "Oh, that. And why do you want details? It's weird. Aren't I dating your ex or something?" protested Caron, who was uncomfortable talking about his intimacies, or in this case, lack thereof. "And how do you think Greg made Miss Lady? When I wasn't his lover, I was his wingman, and the idiot was supposed to fucking leave, not fall in love. The fool. Now tell me something, sweet Caron. How many times, and what is your current favorite position?" asked Allan happily. "Alyssa calls it side by side," said Caron dourly. "Huh, never heard of it," said Allan, grinning happily, and he added, "Can you show me?" Caron pointed to his silverware, which were neatly side by side together, and Allan asked, "Now what?" "That's it," said Caron, pouting. And Allan sat up and he yelled, "Pathetic, Caron, simply pathetic." "Allan," said Helmer, and Allan sat back down again. "Well, I was expecting for him to make the first move or something. I even tried that tail trick you showed me, but Greg just avoids my touch and laughs in my face before departing. It is truly quite vexing. And then there are nights when he just presses up against me with so much force but doesn't initiate anything," explained Caron, and then he said, "And the first time I spoke about trying it for real, Greg spoke about the mood." "Ah, yes, the mood. It was quite vexing to me at first," explained Allan. "You and Greg read the same books, right?" "Yes, we have similar tastes in that department, and I also read poetry to him, and we also study magic together, and we play chess and other board games, and on Saturday we go to the beach," explained Caron. "Rub some salt on my wounded heart, why don't you?" said Allan, chuckling. And he added, "Anyhow, when you guys rant about the stupid night books you read, what part does Greg usually focus on? The part where the heroic knight rescues the damsel in distress, or the dancings, or when the knight confesses his love to a lady that's not paying him any attention?" explained Caron. "I find the battles far more exciting." Is your brain made of pudding? Can you take a hint? Greg has been dropping hints like crazy about how to put him in the mood. Or does he need to spell it out for you? Asked Allan. Well, I'm not a mind reader like you, so yes, I do need him to spell it out or to paint me a picture of what he wants, said Caron more to himself. What has he painted, little ogre? Asked Allan. Couples dining together, a knight and a lady dancing, a gorgeous maiden standing before a mirror deciding whether to put on a dress, cutesy stuff. Nothing like those ugly slugs, and God forbid those drawings featuring decaying animals and corpses, said Caron, trembling. Does he sketch those ugly things from his head or from real life? From real life, said Allan, and sometimes they are roadkills, and it's pretty sad. And then there are the fishes being gutted at the market, and Greg would sketch those poor dead animals, and then he would cry and pray that they were no longer suffering. And the painting should pull you in the right direction as to what Greg considers mood-worthy. Though if he's reading night books, he might make it worth it. So good luck, passive ogre. I hate you, said Caron flatly. Oh, that's the end of that one. Bye-bye and God bless.